Good morning. Today, we're going to be talking about 3 things that you need to know about septic systems. Let's get into it. So, you may have recently just purchased a new home that has a septic system, or you might be in the middle of buying a house that has a septic system. They're nothing to panic about. They're super straightforward. The first thing that you need to know about a septic system is that it's actually cheaper in the long run compared to public sewer. Now, let me tell you why. So in our area with a gravity-fed septic system, if you've got normal, perfectly decent house, nothing crazy, like you don't have to worry about any kind of like low-lying floodplain, you're not sitting right next to the water, those have their own separate set of issues, and your soil conditions are fine, a normal septic tank around here with the drain fields will usually run you about 15 to 20 grand. Now, let's just say that you go into Baltimore City and you have a sewer line that needs to be replaced. That could cost you anywhere from $8,000 to $17,000, right? But with a septic system, you don't really have a monthly cost like you do with a public sewer. Public sewer, you're paying the city every single year, all the time, no matter what. So every month, it's always broken out quarterly around our area. You got to pay a little bit of money. Septic system, yeah, you got to pump it out every now and again, and yeah, little things might break, but you're really not spending that much. It roughly breaks out to about $10 a month if you're pumping your tank every 3 years, right? Where septic systems do end up being more expensive is only if you're going to live in that house for a very finite amount of time. Let's just say that you're only going to be there for 3 years, and you replace the tank on year 2, well, yeah, at that point, yes, it will end up costing you more. Septic systems are very front-loaded on their costs, so you put all that money up front, and then it should last you 30 or 40 years. I've seen septic systems go even longer, up to 70 or 80 years, depending. Those systems are usually kind of in some unique situations. Most commonly, I see a failure rate of around 40 or 50 years, right? So you put all that money up front, and then the system will work for you for several decades, and all you're doing is just pumping it regularly. You might have a pipe break here, you might have a baffle fall off there, but other than that, you really don't have that much maintenance cost that comes into it. Sewer line, yes. Once you get your sewer line put into place, you should have no problem to worry about since it should all be Schedule 40 PVC, right? But you do have to pay the city. In my area, my house, I've got PVC pipe all the way from my home to the main public connection. But once you start getting into public areas like Baltimore City, now you've got to deal with whatever infrastructure's in the ground on the city side. So in my particular area, the city has terracotta pipe as the main sewer line. So the whole sewer line's full of roots, debris, toilet paper, soil, etc. And they're not doing anything about it. So it doesn't matter how good my sewer line is if the county sewer line is not that good either. So what I have to do is I have to have the county come out every 8 to 12 months to snake out my line, which clears their obstruction. So I have to run the risk, even though I'm on public sewer, of having sewage come back into my house, and I have to take preventative maintenance to deal with that. Same issue and the same concern that a lot of people have with septic systems, you also see on public, right? Namely my experience. Now, with a septic system, as long as you don't park on it, you should be fine, right? The big thing that you need to kind of look for when you're looking at an older septic system is how old is it. Once you start getting before 1985, most of them are coming up towards the end of their expected life. So it's really important that if you have a older home, that you have somebody take a look at it, or before you purchase, you have it inspected by a licensed inspector, so that way you can get an idea of what's going on inside of your system and what you're purchasing, right? Same thing with sewer lines, right? So the same pipes that are used in older septic systems are also used in modern sewer systems, right? So you have an old septic system, might have terracotta pipe, might have Orangeburg pipe. It could also have cast iron pipe. You will see those on public sewer systems, and they have just as many issues as you would on septic. It's just usually with public sewer, most people don't get the inspections. So I feel like a lot of it's actually just you don't know, and then because you don't know that there's actually an issue. Whereas with septic, a lot of people will have those inspected when they purchase, and then that's where they find a lot of issues. So I believe that most of the scare that people have on septic systems is really just kind of misplaced, right? It's just that they think that it's worse than it actually is. Septic systems are fine. Just make sure you have it looked at, right? So that was the first one, that septic systems are actually basically cheaper or the same price as public sewer Just you have to live there a little bit longer to see any kind of benefit. The second one is that it's much easier for you to maintain your sewer and your septic, right? So with a septic system, as far as maintenance goes, you're going to have access points on all of it, right? So you as a homeowner are going to be able to double check, is that installer telling me the truth? Was the water level super high? Was it not super high? What did I see, right? With a sewer system, you might have access in the house. You might have access outside. You might have access by the road. You don't really know. So if you don't have access and the plumber tells you, hey, there's roots in your pipe, you don't really have a way of checking and verifying it. So you're really just kind of relying on, did they tell me the truth? Is this actually what I see? So everybody always thinks that when they get into a septic system that they have to use one-ply toilet paper, switch to a bidet, they have to do all this crazy changes to their lifestyle. Really, you don't, right? Main thing with septic systems is you want to make sure you're only putting human waste and toilet paper into the line. You're not putting any other kind of debris, feminine products, plastics, cigarette butts, rubber ducks, none of that stuff, right? The same rule applies for public sewer. It's just nobody ever follows that rule, right? People are putting grease, potato peels, they're putting all that stuff down their public sewer line, and it causes the same headaches, right? Sewer systems, it really only is your problem as a homeowner up until the road. Once it reaches the road, technically it's the county's problem. However, guess who's paying the county to deal with that problem? You are, right? Your sewer bill goes to directly fix any of those issues. So if you're putting down a ton of grease, just look up the Fatberg in London. You're putting a bunch of grease down your sewer, of course it's going to cause problems, and of course the city's going to come out and have to fix it. Same issue happens on septic systems, right? So if you're putting all that stuff down there, let's just say someone's putting feminine products down and it sticks in the pipe, yes, you would have an issue on the public sewer, but you also will have an issue on the septic. The real difference, though, is that you, as the homeowner, are responsible for the full system, right? So it makes you have to be a little bit more responsible for what's going down your drains, down the toilet, so that we don't have to run into a clog or any issue. I run into a lot of problems with first-time home buyers who have the septic system inspected, everything looks good and everything's working, and then they throw a housewarming party. And then they put these nice fancy little paper towels in the bathroom, so that way their guests can use the toilet and then wash their hands and not have to worry about a semi-wet or dirty hand towel in the bathroom. But what happens if you run out of toilet paper? Guess what's going down there? All those fancy towels are going down your toilet and into your sewer line. I have it happen all the time where I get called back to take a look at a septic system that was working 3 weeks ago, and all of a sudden it's not. It almost always is a clog because somebody had a housewarming party and they ran out of toilet paper, or somebody didn't know and they put a feminine product, or something else got stuck down there. It's very simple to just kind of pay attention to what's being done in your home. If you have house guests in, just kind of like say, hey, look, this is what I prefer, not going down my drain. Be cautious and be kind, please. And that's all you got to do, all right? As far as like maintenance cost goes, it's really minimal. Like, you're not going to be spending that much money on it, but it's important to make sure you're paying attention to what's going down your drain so we don't run into any kind of issues. The third and final thing that I think is the most important for you to know as a homeowner on septic systems is those additives that everybody always talks about for septic systems. There's no proof that it actually works, right? There's no federal agency, there's no university, there's no health department that's published anything to tell you, yes, this actually works. This is going to help your septic system. You will have a far better time by just pumping out your septic tank regularly. Get it pumped every couple of years. Everything will be okay. If you don't want to pump it and you want to use these additives, the way that I kind of like to visualize this is it's kind of like putting something in your oil for your car. Yeah, you might get a little bit longer lifespan on the system. However, you do run the risk of the engine going bad. So you might have saved 60 or 80 bucks in the oil change, but now you have to replace the engine. It's the same concept for a septic system. Yes, those additives are $6, $7. Yes, pumping's about 300 bucks, 400 bucks, depending on where you go. The absorption system can cost anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000, depending on what your soil condition looks like, right? So if you're putting stuff down there to try and save that couple bucks from pumping, you might inadvertently cost yourself several $1,000s in a septic repair. So when you're in doubt, pump the tank. If you're super concerned, pumping it every year will be perfectly fine. It's not going to hurt nothing. Most pumpers will leave a little bit of bacterial stuff in the tank so that way it can kind of get everything to propagate again. They're not going to pump it completely down to bone dry concrete. They're going to leave some sludge behind so that we can keep the ecosystem alive and doing what it's supposed to do, right? I hope that this has helped give you guys a little bit more clarification on septic systems. My 3 main recommendations for you to know as somebody who owns a septic system or is looking to purchase a house on well and septic. The first thing is that they are pretty much cheaper to work with in the long run. As a homeowner, you're not going to be spending every day, every month dealing with it. They're basically the same as far as maintenance goes. Like, you just got to be conscious of what's going down your drain, both on public and on septic. So there's really not that much you have to worry about. The third is just pump out your tank, right? I don't know why everybody's always so against pumping the tank, but if you pump your tank regularly, everything will work. Everything will do what it's supposed to do. You just got to be mindful that you have a septic system, that you actually have to maintain it. So I usually recommend just put something in your phone calendar to remind you, like, hey, every June 1st of the odd years, I want to pump the tank, right? And that's all you got to do, and you'll be perfectly fine. If you enjoy content like this and you think I bring value to your world of well and septic, please go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe. I have more content posted daily. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I try to get back to everybody as fast as I can if I can see them. Sometimes the YouTube channel will hide comments on me, but let me know and I'll have more out to you daily. Till next time.